Catch them while you can. The fast food industry is currently vulnerable during this economic downturn. America is well known for its fast food, with national chains becoming institutions beloved across the world. However, in a highly competitive market, it can be difficult for chains to weather the storm. Small and surprisingly big chains have been affected by this, leading to high numbers of closures this year. So, which fast food chains are at a high risk of disappearing? In an effort to remake its image through the Reclaim the Flame campaign, Burger King has suffered major setbacks, with a number of franchisees experiencing several difficulties this year. EYM King, a franchise, had to shut down 26 restaurants established in Michigan in April of 2023. This came as a result of a lawsuit from Burger King allegedly non-payment of required royalties and other fees. Furthermore, another franchise, Meridian Restaurant, closed 27 Burger King outlets after it filed for bankruptcy in March. The outlets include Minnesota, Utah, Montana, Kansas, Nebraska, and North Dakota. The possibility of more closures remains, since the company doesn't anticipate a complete shutdown of its locations. Unfortunately for Burger King, closures are expected to extend further. This leads to the possibility of 300 to 400 U.S. locations closing by the end of the year. In recent years, Outback Steakhouse has survived by providing its customers with varieties of steakhouse meals at favorable pricing. The brand is not questioned, even though its portrayal of Australian culture and cuisine may be more parody than accuracy. In the months following the permanent closure of 2 Outback Steakhouse branches in Hawaii in February, another outlet of the popular steakhouse chain closed as well. In a report from a local news source, the Daily Voice, the Outback Steakhouse situated in Methuen, Massachusetts, has recently shuttered its establishment permanently. This brings the tally of Outback closures to 3 since the onset of 2023. However, despite these closures, Outback Steakhouse is actively pursuing an expansion objective. The goal is to introduce 75 to 100 new locations in the U.S. in the coming years. Although Outback sales recently rose by 5%, the boost was brought on by higher prices rather than an increase in customers. Krispy Kreme is a household name across the world. It has been an industry leader since it opened its first store in 1937. Local customers who visit its locations can observe fresh donuts coming off the production line and enjoy them while they're still hot. Currently, there are 374 stores in the U.S. Krispy Kreme wouldn't confirm how many stores it had a decade ago in 2013, but according to The Sun, the brand announced several closures as a part of a shifting business model in November of 2022. However, it intends to close more shops this year. Rather than looking to open and maintain Krispy Kreme franchises, the new focus would be on distributing fresh products to both franchises and stores across the country. Quiznos has suffered a huge contraction since its best days in the mid-2000s. In 2006, Quiznos had an outstanding 5,000 locations around the country. By 2013, it was the second largest sandwich shop in the U.S. behind Subway. According to the restaurant business, in 2010, the number of locations was down to 2,800, and in 2016, the number gradually decreased to just 671 locations. In 2021, the chain was generating less than $100 million a year in sales and operated only 255 locations. According to Scrape Hero, Quiznos is down to a mere 154 sandwich shops in the U.S. One spokesperson said Quiznos has recently signed a number of multi-unit development agreements with franchisees for dozens of new restaurants and, in fact, plans to open restaurants in the coming months throughout the U.S., with more to follow next year. After its famous days during the 1990s with around 1,200 locations, Boston Market is now down to about 285 restaurants in the U.S. Boston was once famous for serving rotisserie chicken. However, the dish's availability in supermarkets across the country has caused the restaurant's position in the market to falter. According to The Insider, in 2021, labor shortages put pressure on workers and led to an employee walkout, resulting in the closure of 10% of all stores. CEO Francis Allen said we must take steps to ensure our operational structure will support long-term sustainability. He added, part of that effort involves continuously analyzing our geographic footprint and real estate portfolio to assess the ongoing viability of locations. Steak 'n Shake are now estimated to have around 400 stores left in the U.S. This was according to the latest data from Scrape Hero. However, the chain has experienced a slow shuttering of outlets since its heyday. In the first quarter of 2019, Steak 'n Shake had more than 620 stores around the country. However, the COVID outbreak forced it to close nearly 60 stores. It closed another 30 stores in 2022, but was able to stay profitable. This may have been facilitated in part by the deployment of a counter-service model involving kiosks. Steak 'n Shake has invested $50 million into the kiosks, which CEO Sardar Bilargi said was important to the chain to keep up with competitors offering fast service. How about Applebee's? Casual dining has been facing a period of contraction, and this trend is set to continue in 2023. Applebee's has announced its projection to close the year with a net reduction of 25 to 35 restaurants. This represents more significant decline than the 10 to 20 closures initially anticipated for the year. These closures will contribute to the ongoing trend of shutting down several Applebee's locations in recent times as, well, the chain looks to eliminate unwanted establishments to develop a trajectory for growth, having finished off 2021 with the lowest restaurant count in a decade. Applebee's aim is to deal with the problem by increasing the number of locations in 2023. However, challenges such as elevated development costs have impeded the opening of new restaurants. Efforts to identify and address underperforming sites are still in progress. The Applebee president added that the closure will create opportunities for future restaurant openings. Applebee's goal is to explore new trade ideas and capitalize on growth prospects. The Israeli burger company Burger EYM has always stood out from its competitors for its non-traditional offerings. This includes a Greek lamb burger and a falafel burger. The chain was founded in Tel Aviv in 2011 before the current owner, Oren Lani, bought the rights to the franchise and opened nearly 200 locations by 2016. According to the Daily Meal, in 2019 over 1,200 franchise agreements were in place. The company settled a lawsuit with franchisees over allegedly deceptive contracts in 2021. This cost the company $57 million, and the number of outlets shrank to just 125. Furthermore, on the website, the company doesn't accept franchise applications at this time. Several Pizza Hut enthusiasts in New York received disappointing news as the chain suddenly shut down 7 branches across the state. The initial reports of these closures came from local media outlets early this summer. The affected locations include restaurants in Cobleskill, Johnstown, Herkimer, Monticello, Amsterdam, Gloversville, and Ballston Spa. Pizza Hut issued a statement confirming the closure of the 7 establishments. However, the company did not disclose the reason behind those closures. The statement emphasizes that though those locations have been closed down, the Pizza Hut brand is undergoing expansion even within New York. Pizza Hut is dedicated to protecting its reputation. But America is unhappy with Taco Bell's recent pricing. The new prices have hurt chain sales, making some items on its app 25% more expensive than those at its restaurants. Taco Bell remains a popular cultural icon in America. However, that doesn't make it immune from bankruptcy. In addition, there's been a health concern within the company, and to make it worse, they seem to not be working on resolving it. Furthermore, the country has closed a dozen locations without much notice, while there are multiple complaints on social media about how much prices have gone up. So what is the future for these food chain brands? Well, time will tell.